Japan today appealing for help in a bid to prevent a nuclear meltdown. And right now, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission responding, saying two of its nuclear experts have already been dispatched to Tokyo to offer what they call technical advice. The NRC also saying that it is highly unlikely any harmful effects of radiation from damaged Japanese reactors would ever impact the United States. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy says two of its P-3 Orion surveillance planes are now mapping the debris fields. They're working as spotters, tipping off the Japanese officials about possible survivors. And the Navy today confirming 17 crew members aboard the aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan have indeed been exposed to low levels of radiation. Joining me now on the phone, Commander Jeff Davis, a spokesman for the 7th Fleet. Commander, thank you for taking the time. I understand the men had and the women had a scrub down just for precautionary measures here. What was their exposure?
It was very, very low. In fact, not much more than one would get from just normal background radiation, the kind of radiation you get from the sun, from the soil, from rocks, from things you eat like bananas. Radiation exists everywhere, and this was only slightly above that, just what is detectable above that amount.
Commander, what about those on the ship itself? Does the ship encounter any radiation particles or the like just being in that neck of the woods?
Well, it did. The ship's onboard air particulate detectors did detect airborne contamination, and that was a concern at the time, which caused us to move our ships away until we could assess the situation and make some decisions in terms of how we're going to mitigate this risk. We're absolutely committed to this mission. This is not something we can just back out on. We have to be able to face this risk, mitigate for it, account for it, and proceed safely in a way that's not going to endanger our people, but at the same time it's going to allow us to bring the much-needed relief we need to.
But understandably, sir, your mission is complicated. If there is an out-and-out meltdown at one or several of these reactor sites, then all bets are off, right? Because then, like a meltdown, as far as I understand, doesn't necessarily mean the serious release of radiation, but it does presage that possibility. So what do you do?
Well, we're hoping it doesn't come to that. We've got a lot of faith and confidence in the Japanese crews that are working on this for sure. But the biggest thing for us is to watch the wind. We know that the wind will carry whatever comes from these plants and take it out to sea, take it wherever it's going. But we can move our ships and aircraft very easily in order to account for this and to stay away from it. So that's really what we're doing, watching the wind and then being ready to take some extra mitigations as necessary. I think there will be people who do come back from missions and that register positive for having a little bit of contamination on them. We decontaminate them. It's not that big of a deal. It's important to understand that. Radioactivity exists everywhere. It's easily accounted for. When the contamination gets on you, you wash off with soap and water, you test again to see if it's still there, and if it's gone, you know you've successfully decontaminated.
All right, hope that does follow through. Commander, thank you for taking the time. Commander Jeff Davis.